Okay, good morning. It is a overcast day here in Perth from Unconventional Cross Stitch. I am really hyped up. I wasn't going to make a movie, but I've decided to because as we speak I am chatting to my Alaskan Wolfpack friend who recently celebrated her birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carla. Mwah! Happy birthday to you. And don't ever expect me to do that again. I don't sing, generally speaking, in front of anybody but my children and animals. So, what got me excited? Carla decided to start talking about the SAL that we do. We're doing Fire and Ember. It's the first SAL really that I've run for Unconventional Cross Stitch, and for me personally I found that it dragged a bit. We're still going, we do a page a month, and I really feel that for that pattern I could have been smashing out 2 to 3 pages a month, I reckon, quite comfortably. And so I'm thinking that maybe the next one will do an option for between 1 to 2 pages or 2 to 3 pages. So you'll have a choice as to how many pages you'd like to do per month. But that's still out for debate, so if it's something that you're interested in, please do hit me up. I'm going to put a picture in here of the pattern that Carla suggested, and I know she's just seen what I've sent to her now. She's going to start reading through that. So Carla decided to suggest the Dead Sea Octopus and Skull. Oh, I have wanted to do that one for ages. I have 2 versions of it. I have what I call a mini, and then I have the big kahuna. So I printed out, because this is one of the pages from the big kahuna. Can you see how many little pages there are? 120. Which is another topic of discussion I'm going to go over. So there'd be 120 months. That's 10 years? My math is terrible, so feel free to tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so even if we did 2 pages a month, we're looking at 5 years to completion, and looking at this page in particular, I think it's a mid-range confetti maybe. For this page anyway. So yeah, I'd say it's low to mid-range on the confetti. So it's not something I want to push too hard on. So I was looking at the mini, and at 2 pages a month it would be done in 1.5 years. So I think I'm leaning towards the mini, even though I really love the detail in the big one. The only way around this is I was thinking of maybe having a hand-dyed fabric and then getting rid of the background, but having said that, trying to get rid of the background on this one, which I've tried before, it's a real hazy line because everything's so dark, and I found I was just ruining the design by doing it. So I stopped and decided just to go with full coverage. So yes, so Carla has agreed, 2 pages. I need to be live on this. This would be easier. Anyway, so yeah, so we've got that going on. If you are on DeviantArt and you're part of Stitching Pirates, and if you're not, check it out. It's really cool. It's a beautiful community. Carla's one of the people who help administer it, and you do patterns, work in progresses, finishes. So it's a real inspirational place, and they do little competitions here and there. So a few years ago, I think it was, we did a design of a pirate ship, and it became the logo, and we also made a pattern and needle minders out of it. So Carla has that pattern, and I just let her know that she's free to give that away if she wants. So if you're on there, it's a real great chance to grab a hold of a cool free pattern. It's a pirate ship, it's really awesome. There's some cool waves. A few people have done it so far, and they've all gone different directions with it, so there's a real good variety out there. So if you're after a free pattern, totally hit Carla up for it. Head on to DeviantArt and the Stitching Pirates group. So I will try and put a link below for it. So we've got that too. Now, I get asked this question a lot on Etsy, so I'm going to do a small video about it. So a lot of people initially that aren't familiar with my patterns freak out when they see how many pages there are to be printed. So I just wanted to explain it a bit. So a fair number of pages are dedicated to the front cover, the fact, threads and their symbols, and then also the thread estimations of how much floss we're going to need for the pattern. So there's a fair few pages. I'd estimate around 10 pages disappear there. And then there's also the way I print the pattern. So I printed out two. I printed out one for the way that I print, and then I've done one that's like quite small, and I have seen a pattern that's that small, and I think I wept tears of sadness for the person's eyes, because I'm like, you will go blind, how can you see? Anyway, so this is how mine print, and I've just got, see that little pink line there? So that's my highlighter on the wide edge, and I like using the wide edge, it's just the way I roll, but as you can see, maybe not with the video, it tends to warp things. So you've got real good visuals on the pattern. So if you're anything like me, I can stitch for 4 to 5 hours solid. I am hardcore, I guess. So my eyes start to go towards the end. I don't want to be straining, and I want to be able to really easily look pattern. So that's how I like to do things. So it is printed bigger. So don't go by how many pages you have to print for how big this pattern is. Go by literally the dimensions, the X by X, or inches or centimeters, because I give it in both. And on that subject too, my patterns show how much thread you need in meters, but if you prefer to work in skeins or inches, I do have a really handy Excel file that you can ask me for, and I'll just email it through, and then you just copy and paste, and it will automatically convert it all over for you into whatever term you're used to the most, because I do have a really big variety of stitches out there, and some use skeins, some use inches, so I want to make it as easy as possible for people to, you know, get into it, and I don't want you guys wasting time trying to convert it all over, so that Excel sheet is there. So yeah, so that's how mine print. And then I've just done an example of a tiny one. So can you see that? And I've used the skinny end of my highlighter, and it only just sort of covers it. So super, super tiny. And then big. So the way I print it, you've got roughly 10 squares across and 5 squares up and down. So you've got about that. It depends on the page. Some are only partial pages too, so don't forget that. There are partial pages. I don't have an example. But you'll find that like at the very edge there might only be one row. Okay, and see these really dark ones? That's in the fact, but that is actually a repeat of the page that would attach here. You can either stitch that before you join on, or it's just a good guide to make sure that the page you're stitching now will match up to the page next to it. So that's what that is, and you'll sometimes find it on 3 sides or however. And then the teeny tiny one, sorry, I have to blow my nose, it's starting to run. Goodness, sorry. So the teeny tiny one was roughly 7 across and 10 up and down. So it's a lot smaller. What I do offer, and this is free of charge, is that, again, I recognise everyone is different in how they stitch. So if you find that this is too big, I can make it smaller. And then if you think that this is too small, I can make it bigger. And you buy your pattern, you let me know that you want it bigger or smaller, and we can go from there. Some other things that I'll do free of charge too is increasing the number of colours in it. I've done quite a few now of maxing out the colours and that sort of thing, so I've done that. Most recently I did a bigger version of a pattern because they decided that they wanted something bigger to get more detail, more colour into it, so that's what we've done as well. I'm just catching up with Carla a lot. So to answer Carla's question, yes, there are quite a few pages in that octopus. 36 months, so 36 pages for the mini one, which is, well, 36 pages of pattern, I'll say. 36 pages of actual pattern, so it is quite a few. But most of my patterns have a lot of pages anyway, because I like to go big for detail. I occasionally do a mini, which comes out a bit blockier, but so that's just how I roll. So yeah, that's all I've got to talk about. I've been really vlogging my Octavius lately because I was a month ahead on my Fire and Ember SAL, so I don't have to do any stitching for October. I finished quite a few books. I finished Ashling. I finished 4. 4 was terrible. Don't even bother. If you liked the trilogy, Insurgent, Divergent, all those ones, don't bother with 4. It was just a money grab. It was a complete waste of time. I hated it. Worst, like, 300 odd pages of my life. What else did I recently finish up? I'm doing Thief's Magic at the moment for audio, and Annihilation for my hard copy book, and that one's really cool. I'm really loving Annihilation. It's really calling to my scientist within, but don't freak, if you're not a scientist, it's still really easy to follow. She's just singing to my biologist within. It's really cool. And that's going to be a movie. I only discovered Annihilation because I saw a preview for the movie and went, that looks cool. No, read the book first, because the book is always better than the movie, and if I watch the movie first, it's just going to taint the book for me. So, I don't know, that's how I work. So, I'll probably be horrendously disappointed. It's like A Dog's Purpose. I read the book before I saw the movie. Holy crap, why do they have to miss so much? You know, just do a decent length movie and stick to the friggin' book. For the love of baby Cthulhu, stick to the book. Please. Anybody who's going to make their book into a movie. You hear me out, So, anyway, that's all that I've really got cruising along. I am absolutely dying inside to go and start stitching, so I'm probably going to skedaddle and start the uploads and all that sort of thing. So I'll put all my links below. Take it easy and happy stitching. Any questions, comments, please hit below. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with all my awesomeness. Awesomeness. Anyway, see you guys.